What is up, Ichimoku traders? Chris Cooper here, 2ndSkiesForex.com. So I wanted to just do a short video to kind of start with, to really talk about the foundations in the sense of what you need to know to really take this course. So the name of this course is the Advanced Ichimoku course, and that first word is really the operative word, advanced, in the sense of I don't expect you to be some really good Ichimoku trader coming into this. But what I do expect is that you have a certain foundation that you're working with so that when we go into the material, into the course, you're not asking questions that are things you should already have answered. And so I'm kind of laying out these foundations on what I feel you need to know as the basics to really proceed in this course. And if you don't have that, that's totally cool. That's not a big deal. What you're going to want to do is make sure you study and brush up on the material before you get into this, because otherwise you're going to be taking on things that you're not going to have the core concepts for yet. And so it's super important that you have this base level of knowledge in place to really approach this course. You know, maybe you're someone who's kind of new to Ichimoku, you liked it, you want to take a course in it, you felt attracted to it. Totally cool. Just make sure you have these foundations in place before you proceed to the other lessons, so you save yourself time in the process. So in terms of the foundations that you're going to need for this course, it's pretty straightforward. You're going to need to understand what all 5 lines are. So you need to know what the Tenkin is, the Kijun, the Chiku span, the Senku A, or the Senku span A and B. You need to understand what these 5 lines are and what each of them reflects and communicates. And so they're all pretty straightforward in terms of what they communicate and what they're focused on and designed to do. And so you're going to need to have that as a basic understanding of this. The second thing is you need to have a working understanding or a foundational understanding of the 3 pillars, and that's time, wave, and price theory. Luckily for you guys, I have a ton of free material on the website for you for that. So, not in the course, but in the website itself. So if you need to if you're someone who's, somewhat new to Ichimoku and you're really just kind of taking this out of excitement, you really want to learn it and take it to the next level, fine, just make sure you brush up on that. You need to understand the main components of the time and number theory. You need to understand the basic components of wave, and you need to understand the components of price theory. We do have some videos on this in the intro section. So my suggestion would be to read the free articles on the site if you're still kind of building your Ichimoku skills, and that then go through the videos that I have on time, wave, and price theory. Same with the 5 lines. So there's tons of free materials on this. Now, one thing I also want to kind of communicate is most of the knowledge that we have today from Ichimoku is from Western authors. And the thing about it is, and the problem with this is that there have been certain kind of Western inventions about what Ichimoku is about that aren't really accurate. And so we're focusing on moving beyond the kind of Western concepts. A great example of this is something called, you've probably, if you've done any research on the web, you've probably heard something about a Kumo twist. It's when the Senku span A and B flip positions from, one's on top and the bottom, and they reverse those positions. And that was often considered some sort of signal or indicator. There's been strategies made about it and everything. But the thing about it is that in neither Hosada's nor Sasaki's book do they ever mention the terms Kumo twist. There is no Kumo twist strategy. There's nothing I've ever seen or read in either of them that suggests that this is a thing. This is a Western creation. And it's important to understand that unless you speak kanji, unless you can read and write kanji in Japanese, that most of the information you've gotten about Ichimoku is from Western sources. Luckily, we had somebody who we paid a lot of money and was very diligent about it, was able to translate. They could read kanji and able to translate these texts for us. And so that was something that's been very helpful for us because we've been able to bring a lot of that material out. Probably there wasn't a whole lot of talk about Kifu before, but now there is a lot more talk about that happening, especially in this course. I mean, there's not much out there about Kifu, and some of it is kind of inaccurate, and we've taken the direct translation and brought these things to you. So, it's important to understand where you've gotten the majority of your knowledge from and how you kind of need to let some of that go to really progress in this course. With that being said, I'd like to end on a quote from Hidenobu Sasaki in his book on the Ichimoku cloud. And this is in the second chapter. And there's some really prescient things in this particular quote. And it was towards the end of the chapter that he wrote this. And I want to read it out loud, and I just want to talk about it briefly. He says, "The judgment of the market is always best when it's simple and clear. The market from the present point moves up, down, or does not move." And he's talking about ranging and consolidation. "The reason this simplicity becomes difficult is you think about too many things. The market moves when the equilibrium relationship between the buyer is broken. The 5 lines and 3 pillars are tools for finding this." So he's talking about finding the relationship between the buyers and sellers, particularly when we're looking for an imbalance between them. That's when an imbalance creates a directional move. He says, "If you want to capture the movement, the method has to be simple and clear. If you need complex procedures, you don't have time to cope with this sudden movement of the market. Therefore, it must be something you can get instantly or quickly." So I wanted to kind of communicate this because we as humans tend to overcomplicate things and we tend to overthink as a whole. The average human brain has about 60,000 thoughts of these per day. And a lot of it, if any of you have done any meditation practice, you'll realize that a lot of the thinking and thoughts that go through your head are not necessary. They're just complete BS. It's just a lot of like random talk and chatter and self-referencing and just kind of radio station just constantly blaring through. And that a lot of that is unnecessary. Now, it's funny to me, in some sense, there is a certain kind of irony and humor in this, that they talk about everything being simple and clear because, I started off as a price action trader. So when I saw Ichimoku, I was totally attracted to it, but I was like, man, there's a lot of lines on the chart. And there's a lot of lines. So there's a certain irony in the sense that they're saying simple and clear when there's just a lot of lines on the chart. However, at the same time, there's a couple things that they're communicating here. One, if you understand Ichimoku really well, you understand the 5 lines really well, and you understand, time, wave, and price theory, it shouldn't take a whole lot of effort to really put all that together. You look at a chart, you pull up a new chart, you look at it, you have the Ichimoku on it, and you should be able to get everything that you need out of that within the first 30 seconds. It shouldn't take much more time than that for you to do price calc, for you to do your wave theory, for you to do your 5-line analysis. That all should be done within seconds. And, in the beginning, it may take you 30 seconds or a minute, but eventually as the skill becomes more subconscious, it should be done in a few seconds. When I pull up an Ichimoku chart, I am literally done with my analysis inside of 15 to 30 seconds. After that point, there's no more analysis for me to do on it. I've seen everything I need to. I'm getting, as soon as I look at the 5 lines, I get a very clear understanding what the Chiku is communicating, the Tenkin, the Kijun, the Kumo. I see the wave structure very clearly. And, the longest thing for me is just doing the price calculation because I have to do it kind of manually. The chart or the platform doesn't do it for me. So that's the thing that takes the most time. But that all should be relatively quick. You should kind of get an initial impression from that, and then you should kind of be moving with that. That's the first thing I want to talk about. The second thing is that they're saying it has to be simple and clear. And, I've had certain students who have certain skills, mathematical skills or quantitative skills or analytical skills. And I think those are super valuable. And I think there is a place for them. But I've also noticed that certain people can overcomplicate with these particular tendencies can overcomplicate something that is pretty straightforward. They end up going into endless permutations and just different analysis and saying, okay, well, this does this, and look at this relationship and this here. And what they're doing is just they're adding a lot of conceptual scaffolding to Ichimoku. Maybe there's some hidden, Da Vinci Code in there, but you know what? That's not my skill set, and that's not the focus of this course. The focus of this course is so that we create skills for you so that when you pop up a chart and you look at it, you're able to pretty much know what you want to do within 30 seconds. That's, okay, I want to be buying or selling. After that, it may take you another 30 seconds to a minute to find your entry, stop loss, and take profit, but that shouldn't be a complicated process. You should be building your skills to where that process is relatively smooth and subconscious. It's kind of automatic. So try not to overcomplicate this. Try not to create or add on this kind of extra layer of complexity and scaffolding and procedures to, kind of explore Ichimoku in this other relationship. I think that's fine, but that's not the focus of this course. And that's not how I approach trading. And so, I was, very early on in my career, I was taught this very valuable lesson. I was shown 20 charts and I was given like 5 seconds to analyze each chart. And then I was shown another 20 charts and I was given like 2 minutes. And the performance on my 5-second analysis versus my 2-minute analysis was not even close. My 5-second analysis was way more accurate and performed a lot better. And you also have to understand that how the mind works, that the more complexity you can create around something, the greater the chances that the information that you're complexifying there, if that's a word, or, adding the complexity to, you're putting more variables into something. And the more variables you have, the more moving parts you have, the greater the chance that something goes wrong. We want to approach this in a very simplistic way. And I don't mean like basic, but what I'm saying is just kind of straightforward, and this is from Sasaki himself. Look, don't overcomplexify this. Don't go into the nth degree on this. Always approach Ichimoku that it's simple and clear. And if it's not, then you probably shouldn't be taking the trade, and you should be working more on your skills so that you can get to a place where things are simple and clear. Build the skills so that they're automatic, and eventually simplicity will come. So with that being said, that's kind of the foundations for how we're approaching this. These are the foundations that you need to know. And it's really our approach and how we're relating to Ichimoku. We're going to get into some really cool stuff with the 5 lines. We're going to get into some really cool stuff with the wave theory, especially in the strategy section. There's a lot of cool stuff coming. But I want to make sure that at the end of this video that you really walk away with 2 things. One, that you need a minimum foundational knowledge to really move on in this course. And if you don't have that right now, totally cool. You have lifetime access to this course. Just make sure you go through the free videos and articles on my website. You can just search the term Ichimoku and all the stuff will come up. So just go through that real briefly. You could spend, an hour or 2 and get the basics. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that we're always kind of relating to Ichimoku from the perspective of we don't want to overcomplexify it. It should be simple and clear, and we should have, and if it's not simple and clear, then most often you should be, if it feels really confusing, like you're like, wow, it's really 50-50, I see this, but I see that, then you should probably not be trading it. When I'm in that position, I'm not trading. I only trade when I feel that there is a greater imbalance towards clarity versus unclarity. If that balance or equilibrium is about even, I'm not in the trade. And if I'm unclear, I'm definitely not trading. You want to trade from a place of clarity, and you want to trade from a place that you are approaching this in a relatively straightforward fashion. So I hope you found this video useful for those of you that are kind of starting with us here. I hope that you feel that you have the tools and everything and information to move forward. I look forward to you moving forward through these lessons, building the lessons, your foundations, your skill set, and really advancing in this, because when you come out of it, it's going to give you, especially for people who are price action traders and they're now adding this to their skill set, you're going to see that Ichimoku offers you a very unique perspective on the market. It's totally unique in how it approaches it. It's like no other thing I've seen. So, to me, it's such a wonderful skill set. It's elegant, and it's dynamic and it's unique, and I really appreciate that about Ichimoku. So I look forward to your comments and questions on this, and I'll see you inside the course.